Hey, what's up kids? Peter Von Panda here. Hey, want to show you 4 years with my Fiat 500 here, and I want to do a quick update because I have a whole list of stuff I want to tell you. The most important, or the thing that I learned that was the most impactful after 4 years, I'm going to leave to the end, so you're going to have to wait to hear what I think is something that if you own a Fiat and it's not 4 years old yet, you're going to want to hear, because it is super important and took me by surprise. So first of all, let me talk about the decals that are on the car. I got these 4 years ago. I just got them on eBay. They're just a cheap set of decals. They look kind of like the official ones. There are places where it's starting to come apart, but I'm actually pretty surprised that after 4 years these suckers are still on there and look as good as they do. So I'll probably be pulling these off with a hair dryer pretty soon and maybe replacing them. I'm not entirely sure, but pretty pleased with that. Let me take a look here. Sorry I didn't have a chance to clean up the car, but I'll prove to you that this car now is 4 years old. Right there you can see 44,393 total miles on the Ode, and I'm going to fire it up here because I never reset the average mile indicator, and I wanted to show you what a long-term, gotta close that door because it's gonna bug me, but the average fuel economy I've gotten, and there it is right there, 33.2 miles per gallon. Now I've got a pretty long commute to work. About a third of that is residential, and about 2/3 is pretty standard highway driving during rush hour, so it's not the greatest in the world. 34 miles per gallon is a little lower than I would have liked. I think the year after this they squeezed out a couple more miles per gallon, but 4 years later, on average, I'm getting about 33 miles a gallon. Now let me say this, at the time I got the car, I got it because of the mileage, and I'm pleased with it. It's reduced my gas costs quite a bit, but you can get a lot of cars that will get you in that range these days, so keep that in mind. So that is my long-term experience with it. Not bad, and plenty happy with it, but not super thrilled. There are a lot of cars that can do that too. So all right, I'm gonna shut this off here, and as I do that, I'm gonna pull the seat belt here because I want to show you my next little gripe. And like I said, as I'm doing this, I'm gonna buckle it in there. And I do love the car. If I had to do it over again, knowing what I know, I'd be happy to have this car again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna now unbuckle my seat belt. All right, and what I've noticed is that the spring, or the gear that pulls it back, has lost some tension. So as I get out, what ends up happening is that seat belt doesn't get snapped back in time, and I get a lot of banging on my body work right here, where it slams in there and then retracts. Okay, so that's kind of annoying. My car is getting a little beat up here in the corner. It's a little hard to see because of all the dirt, but that every time it does that, I cringe a little bit. So keep that in mind. I'm not sure if there's a way to increase the tension on that sucker. As you may have seen in another video, I did have a broken hood prop rod clip. I actually replaced that. The prop rod is over here on this side, and it's basically right here behind the passenger side headlight. It's once it's broken, it's easy to get out, but getting the new one in is very difficult, and actually putting the new one in is so tight it snapped as well. So I still have a broken prop rod clip in there, although it's a little more stable than the old one. I felt after putting in the new one that I wasn't going to do anything else with it. All right, I have also not replaced these windshield wipers. These are unbelievably the original windshield wipers that came on my car. I am going to replace these pretty soon because I'm getting streaking that you would expect on the windshield, and so I have done some things actually to maximize how long these have lasted, and by including cleaning the blades and Windexing the living daylights out of this windshield, which has definitely helped. But these are going to get replaced pretty soon. I don't know what, I think this is almost like a 22 or 24 inch blade on this side, and then this one is actually very small, looks like a foot, but that shouldn't be too expensive to do. But 4 years later, I'm pretty impressed that they have lasted that long. Lastly, on the front here, I've also taken off the that vinyl bra that you saw in some of my other videos. Funny thing is, the paintwork despite it being really dirty, the paintwork is in great shape. About a week after I took it off, of course, someone's rear aftermarket bumper kind of came apart on the highway and tagged me pretty good right there. You can see that's not dirt, that's a paint gouge. No big deal. 4 years, what do you expect? Take a look at my crib sheet here. And okay, let me give you a little update on the tire and brake. So here in the Chicago area, we have lots of construction and potholes from harsh winters. And so what I ended up having is, pretty much on my 4th year anniversary, picked up a nail in one of the tires, and the tires were getting pretty bald. It was probably just a slightly early on needing to get them replaced, but I went ahead and got them replaced because the nail was kind of in an angle and they wouldn't fix it, and the tires needed to be replaced anyway. So these tires are probably a few weeks old, but what ended up happening is they took them off and all 4 rims were bent at some point. In fact, I knew that I had hit this wheel pretty hard up here because I had lost this hubcap. This is actually a replacement hubcap that I got off eBay, but all 4 wheels had either bends or dings in them. 3 of them they were able to bend out or bang out at the tire place, but 1 of them needed to be replaced. And actually finding the right size steel wheel is not a big problem, but what everyone said is that a lot of times these hubcaps don't fit anything but the official steel wheel. So I ended up buying an official Fiat steel wheel, even though in this size and bolt pattern you can find them pretty readily. That being said, the tires lasting 4 years isn't a big deal. The wheels not lasting 4 years I was a little more disappointed about. The brakes, however, are still original. So far they haven't gotten down to the sensor. The last time I took it in for an oil change, they didn't say I needed new brakes. So 43,000 miles later, 4 years later, new tires, which you'd expect, new wheels, which I didn't expect, but new brakes, which I do expect, I haven't actually had to do yet. Those will probably be on the repair list here pretty soon. Okay, now for the big thing. If you have a car like this, the Fiat 500, and you get to the 3-year anniversary, before your 4th anniversary and before winter, I would suggest replacing the car battery, because what ends up happening is cold weather starts setting in, and I drove this car around a lot. Let me see if I can show you that battery as we're talking about it here. And drove a number of places, no problem. The car was fine, started and stopped, no sweat. So here's the battery sitting right up here. And then came home, turned off the car, went back out 10 minutes later and it wouldn't start. And the battery was not only dead, but it was completely dead. And in fact, I couldn't even jump start it correctly without disconnecting the terminals from the battery. So somehow the battery itself was so dead or so corrupted it was intercepting the power to the car. The battery is not that expensive. It's not even that hard to get out. You have to undo that bolt down here on the bottom, and then that releases kind of the little clamp that's holding on the bottom of the battery on, and you kind of lift it out. You take that insulator sleeve off the battery and put it on the new one. Okay, no big deal. 50, 60 bucks later, you've got a new battery. The problem with that is if you keep your jumper cables in the back, and you can't actually actuate this handle here to open up the trunk because it's electric, or there's a solenoid that pops it open. There's no manual release as far as I can find to open up that trunk. So first of all, my first annoyance was, all right, battery's dead, no big problem. Let me get my jumper cables. Oh, I can't get them here. So what you end up having to do is crawl through here, crawling into your back seat, popping the back seat. Oh, and I also keep my jumper cables, FYI, in a bag in the back. So you're crawling all the way through the back to get your bag out, to get your jumper cables out, to jump your car. That was a pretty big learning experience for me, to have to go through all of that hassle to get into the trunk. So if someone else has figured out a way to get into your trunk when you have no power, I would love to know it, because that kind of frustrated the heck out of me, especially when it's cold and snowy. You're not going to want to do that, especially when you have someone who's around that's willing to jump start your car and you can't even get your own cables out. So that was the biggest one, a big learning experience. You know, I didn't have any warning signs that the battery was about to die, but like I said, when you get to either your 4th year or 3+ winter, go ahead and just change that sucker out. It's going to save you a huge headache later on. Everything else, you know, besides, like I said, being dirty, is of snuff. You saw all the power cables that I put in here before. I still run a Bluetooth receiver through there. I use this Zing CD mount, which has an adjustable slide here, and then it's a fully adjustable mount. I've used this for a year or 2 now without any problems. A couple things that I would have liked to have seen are an integrated universal garage door remote somewhere. That would have been nice. But overall, like I said, if I had to go back and do it again with the same amount of money, I'd be happy to get a Fiat. Will my next car be a Fiat? I don't know. I'd like to have a little more space and size in the next one, or a little less space and size in a different car to kind of handle the hauling chores. But overall, really like it. So that is the 4-year update. That's everything I think you need to know between year 3 and year 4. So hopefully that helps as you go ahead and look at Fiat 500. Peter von Panda, out.